Hello, good evening. This is 15 minutes in the basement. Merrill,
Nick.
we're here to bring you our experiences with national parks, the beautiful nature that is in the United States. We're from the Midwest, meaning, well, I would say
West.
more West than Midwest, but we've seen the beauty of the grandeur of the Rocky Mountains into the Californian uh, national parks, Wyoming. We've seen a bulk
In
of
Utah. Has a ton
Utah.
of Utah
Oh
national
yeah,
parks.
Grand Canyon. I've never been there. You have,
I've been there.
but we live in an area that's just rife with beauty. So we'll talk about our experiences with the national parks. Nick here has the goal to visit every national park.
Every single national park, including America Samoa and the volcanoes in Hawaii. I've already been to Hawaii. Didn't make it to the national park, even though Hawaii is kind of the entire place.
There's only so many square miles on that island,
Yeah,
on the island chain.
but I didn't go there specifically for the national park when I went, so I'm going to go back as to do the official national.
Don't they have a stamp book for national parks of some kind? You can purchase?
Passport book? Yeah, something
Something
like that. I'm not really interested, but my goal is to actually drive an old car, or I shouldn't say car.
Go ahead. Tell them about
Volkswagen
the
bus.
bus.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Your
drive
your
an old.
hippie ride. Go ahead.
Yeah, even though mine's not a hippie bus, but yeah, every national park. It's on my list to do before I die.
He's trying to say there's some clean living in that bus. It's not a hippie bus. But as far as the most impactful national parks you've been to date, what do you think?
The one that really took my breath away was Glacier.
I would agree. Yeah,
Um,
it was a drive-through. We didn't get to stay or hike, or the hiking trails that are here are fantastic. It's right there on the border of Canada. There was an actual glacier that is probably receding, like all of the glaciers are nowadays.
it's still there, but it's moved a lot back. But like you said, it was a drive-through, drive-by, and it still
Right.
took my breath away.
Yes, just there on the main road through the national park. If we could have spent some time there, I would have. It's definitely I believe, the most beautiful patch of land I've ever seen. Right there up on the border.
Yeah, I agree. Um, I've also been to a lot of the national parks in the state of Utah. Went through Arches National, Zion,
Bryce
Bryce.
Canyon,
Um,
Capitol Reef.
Capitol Reef was not my favorite. I actually was probably one of my least favorite because, yay, right?
Well, when you see the other ones, it doesn't carry as much grandeur, I believe. The one that really hit me was Canyonlands.
Canyonlands.
Just the
really
scale as you stand on top of that butte and you look down over the desert that never ends, the horizon that reaches forever, and you just feel the scale of the massive land that we stand on. It is breathtaking. And that one's so my main issue with a lot of the national parks is they're crowded, and a lot of it's tourists too. Um, so they're transient. They are coming in and out, and it's just a lot of crowd, a lot of movement. I don't like going to places that are packed, busy, crowded. I don't go to nature to be surrounded by other humans. I go to nature to get away from the city, to get away from other people. So most national parks, I went a year and a half, 2 years ago, up to
Yellowstone.
Yellowstone up there, Wyoming, and it was horrible. Just gobs of people, no parking. You're walking these. It's beautiful. That's undeniable. You've got these hot springs, the steam coming off in the wind, and the geysers, but the
And the colors
crowds.
of the water.
It's yeah, but the crowds just negated it for me. It was not that enjoyable. But when I went and saw Canyonlands, it's not as crowded because Arches, a more popular or more busy visited national park, is right across the highway there.
It's the Instagram and Twitter photo op at Arches, whereas Canyonlands, there's not like this iconic statuesque monument that's made by the hand of God to take a picture in front of. It's more of just open in nature.
Yeah, a broad landscape painted by the hand of God.
Yeah.
So I enjoyed it much more at Canyonlands, and in fact, my wife is a foreigner. She's not from the area, and for years she's wanted to go to specifically Arches. And the reason she said she wanted to go to Arches is when she goes back to her home country and talks to people, she doesn't want to say, "Oh, I went to this small area." I enjoy places like Boulder Mountain, Utah, places like along the Wasatch Front, Payson Lakes, even things like this.
Black Hills of South Dakota are insanely cool too.
Right. But if you go into another country and you say, "I went to the Black Hills of South Dakota," people are going to say, "What the freak is the Black Hills of South Dakota?"
Oh, I mean, I went to Mount Rushmore.
Oh, yeah. So you've got to have these big name, big ticket national parks under your belt. So she's always pressured me to go to Arches. I'd never been myself because
we went as kids.
No, I don't.
Yes, we did. I had a giant flag that had a black bomb on it, and we hiked up to Arches, and I thought I was going to die because the hike was, 3 miles?
This is the Black Bomb flag area, huh?
Yes.
So just a little backstory. Black Bombs is our stupid little club we made up. We built clubhouses, and our brother and our older cousin was the Black Ice Raiders. We were the Black Bombs. We had flags. We had little tiny kid oaths, and we had battles. It was just a little kid game. But yeah, I don't remember this. I don't remember the Arches, anything like that. So the first time I went to Arches that I remember in my memory was with my wife just this last spring, this year. And it was amazing. There were tons of people, but it was worth it. The beauty and the grandeur of those monuments, those rock edifices, it outweighs the crowds. It's worth it. So it really, if I could rate national parks, you've got to weigh the crowds you're going to experience versus what's there to be seen. Yellowstone, what's the one there in California? Yosemite I've never been to.
Redwoods?
The Redwoods, yeah. The Redwoods, But I would say things like the Grand Canyon, I would assume, is probably worth it.
It was nice. There was a ton of crowds, but it was like, to give you an idea of how deep this hole in the earth is. So I'm an artist, and I've studied art history. I have 2 bachelor's degrees both in art, and it wasn't until the Renaissance that artists really figured out how to paint atmospheric perspective, which means the atmosphere, the air that we're actually looking through. When you look such a far distance, you actually start to see it because there's so much air you're looking through that it actually fuzzes out the distance in the background, right? So it takes miles to do that, like where you can actually have the atmosphere distort and soften the background in the distance. I was looking down in this hole. An atmospheric perspective caused the bottom of the Grand Canyon to be distorted and softened. That's how deep this freaker is, dude. Like, it blew me away. It's breathtaking. And people had talked it up to me for years. You know, it wasn't like the movie that, like, this is the best movie, and you go watch it. This sucked, because you're expecting the best movie. I went and looked in that hole, and I was expecting the deepest hole. And that's what I got.
That's what I got.
That thing is deep. It's cool. It's way worth it.
It's one fabulous hole. So go check it out.
Yeah. go check the Earth hole.
Yeah, so I have not seen the Grand Canyon, but
You've been in the Grand Canyon.
You're talking about Havasu.
Havasu's in the Grand Canyon.
Well, but we're talking about the giant gap
where you look
Gash.
out.
Yeah, I have not been, but Havasupai
Is
the Indian Reservation in the Grand Canyon. That is absolutely fantastic. If you ever get a chance to go there, it's permit only, limited access.
You have to get a year in advance, reservations.
It's really messy getting in now since it's so popular, but that would be probably one of the most pristine areas I've gone to. But all of that being said, I prefer the hidden secret locations for the 1 or 2 week backpacking trips.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to get to name drop any places because they're my secret spots, so you can go find your own. Yeah. But places where we don't have crowds, some places are getting worse. They're being discovered.
There's a specific place that we've gone to. I've been to it half a dozen times.
I beat you easily.
You've gone twice that. Like literally, you've gone 12, 13 times. But the first time I went, I saw one other person, well, two, which
sunbathing.
Yeah,
well,
they were actually the guy was taking photos of this girl.
Okay, we're good. Yeah. Let's just say she was sunbathing in a French manner. She was
in a French manner.
She was a French maiden.
Yes.
But those are the only two people we saw.
It was the only two people that we saw.
And we saw them.
And we really saw them. No, but like the second time I went, we saw maybe a handful. Yeah. The third time I went, half a dozen.
And you got to realize this place is pristine. They have actual spring water springing out of the rocks. And when we first went, we drank it.
We drank
the spring water.
The spring water straight off the wall.
Yeah, right. And it is the most delicious.
I'm drinking a bottle of Evian right now. And this stuff tastes like crap compared to that.
Garbage.
Now, Fiji water tastes like that water did.
That's a bold statement. I think because it's so cool, the water, you're hot, you're hiking, it's been, 8-10 miles that day, and you get to that spring. I don't think Fijian water can beat that.
Now, what if you had a bottle of ice cold Fiji in your hand and you drank them side by side? I think it'd be pretty close.
I think it's a moot point.
Anyway,
this conjecture, but the bottom line
Fiji,
is,
you owe me some money.
Yes.
For
our sponsor for this video is We Wish Fiji Water.
We wish Fiji Water was sponsored.
Just a free bottle, we'd do it. So the whole point of what I was trying to get to was we drank this fresh spring water right out the rock, and then the third or fourth year that we went, we're bringing in our heavy duty particulate filter, and we're filtering this spring water.
Okay, so the fifth time that I went, the second to last time, the reason that we're bringing filters in is we were down there, and
there's tons of people. They put in latrines even. They put in toilets.
Yeah, they even brought in latrines down there, which is great. Thank you, Forest Service.
Well, I'd rather just dig a hole and not have people around, right?
Well, but then
but with the crowds that were there,
you're polluting
the crowds that were there, they needed toilets. That's the problem.
And then on top of that, there was some douchebag that climbed up to the rock face to right above the spring.
Mm-hmm. He's a real genius.
And in plain sight of everyone, took a number 2 right on top of that spring and wiped his butt and threw the toilet paper like a little white flag on top of it and climbed back down and off the... And I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? Right above the spring, you're taking a dose? Like, give me a break, you idiot.
Yeah, there's some really, really, really dumb people.
The last time I went there, I'd say there's 200 people down there.
Yeah, it's packed. So, yeah, I don't even if I name dropped it, you shouldn't go. But I'm not even, it's our secret private place. It's no longer secret nor private.
Yeah, just like that guy. He wasn't being secret or private.
Yeah. There's nowhere to hide anymore. Nowhere to hide. There's just people around every corner. But yeah, as far as the national parks, the whole point is you've got to check out the West. You've got to see the beauty of the desert. California's got its...
We've been all the way to New York and back, and
there's not a lot of national parks back.
There is a ton, but they're just not as, they don't have the draw, I guess. Well, thanks for joining us on another 15 Minutes in the Basement. Have a great night.